you live in Japan already, you're moving to Japan, you've been here 2 years, you've been here 10 years, however long, should you become a YouTuber in Japan? And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I say yes to all of you. I think that if you really want to give YouTube a go and you don't mind putting yourself out there online, having your face, on the internet for everyone to see, I say do it. And the reason why I say that, well, actually I have several reasons why I say that. And first of all, I want to say that you will have something to say. And even if you don't have a lot of experience in this country, you're still going to have things that you can talk about. You're going to be talking about your real lived experience, what you're really seeing and understanding and finding in Japan. And, you're probably going to have very particular images of what kind of things you want to talk about. And you'll realize how that is changing over time. You're going to start off being interested maybe talking about travel topics and then getting into more like, here's my daily life or my vlog or whatever it might be. But your voice is going to be unique. Only you are having your experience. And one thing I have to emphasize about life in Japan is that everyone's experience is going to be different. Sure, there are some things that are possible to generalize across different experiences. But I'll tell you what, you live in Hokkaido, you live in Yamaguchi, you live in Nagasaki, you live in Tokyo, you're having a very, very different conversation and a very different lifestyle from, people who are in different places than those. It is really an interesting and diverse country when it comes to that, and absolutely recommend that if you want to talk about your experience, do so. And some of you might be hearing this like, oh no, what do we need a bunch of new YouTubers about Japan? Don't we have enough already? Well, first of all, it's not a zero-sum game. Not everyone's going to get an audience. Some people are going to get large audiences. Some people get small audiences based on, how well they do and what kind of content they make and what ends up resonating with people. But it's not a zero-sum game. You're not actually competing with other people like you're in the same prime time slot or something, because, you can watch or listen to YouTube at any time. And honestly speaking, what's going on my YouTube these days is I'm getting tons of recommendations for small YouTubers because I have been clicking on and watching small YouTubers just to see what their content is all about. And of course, YouTube recognizes this and goes ahead and starts recommending to me all these small-time YouTubers. And it's been really interesting. There's a lot of good ones out there with really interesting things to say. At the very least, it gives me inspiration on particular topics I might want to talk about. So the other part of this, or the other side of this, is that by doing a YouTube channel, at least if you come at it from the point of, here's what's going on, this is what I'm learning, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what Japan is for me, it's going to be another level of a learning experience for you. It most certainly has been for me. I started this YouTube channel 4 years ago, something like that. And that means I was already living in Japan for 15 plus years. And I would be absolutely lying if I said that this didn't deepen my understanding about certain aspects of Japan, just by virtue of doing the channel. Just by virtue of addressing things in my life and in my community and things that I've learned over my time in Japan, by actually thinking about them and trying to distill them into a topic that I can talk about on my channel for listeners and viewers like you. Honestly, that's been a huge learning experience because it's forced me into my thoughts and has made me genuinely do a deep dive into my feelings and knowledge about various topics. So, as a learning experience, it has honestly been invaluable. Now, obviously, we probably all know YouTubers out there who try to speak as if they're an absolute authority on something Japanese, and in some cases they might be, but in a lot of cases they are just, spouting off things that they've heard and experienced as gospel, and it may not actually be so. And I think that's where what I'm saying is, like, if you come at it with a little bit of humbleness and look at it as a potential learning experience, then it will be. And, as a bonus learning experience is you're going to get into things like gear and editing and, figuring out how to actually make the videos themselves. I didn't have any experience with this. I'm entirely self-taught when it comes to editing. And the equipment I started off with, if you go back and watch my videos 4 years ago, I started with a camcorder. And so the video and audio quality is pretty crap. And so, yeah, I've come a long ways in terms of that. And I'm certainly nowhere near any kind of professional or even spectacular amateur level, but I've definitely gotten better. And that progression also, I feel, is really valuable, because it's going to take you some time to find your voice and figure out what you want to talk about and what kind of YouTube channel you're going to be. I know there's some people out there that maybe start off right away and they know what they're doing and they've got the idea of what kind of YouTube they want to make. I had an idea of the types of things I wanted to talk about, but even I had some very different images of what my content was going to look like. For example, I used to try to film a lot more secondary, what they call B-roll, things that you overlay across the main video. And eventually I decided against that because, well, A, it streamlines the editing process to not have to deal with B-roll. But I also realized that it seemed like one of the main values of my channel was when I'm just out and walking, you're seeing Japan life happen behind me. You're seeing people go to and fro. You're seeing, things like this train that's coming right now. You're seeing this go by. And it's just ordinary life. And so you're listening to me talk about a topic, but you're also getting a genuine, unfiltered snapshot of life in Japan. Kind of like those YouTubers that go out and do a 2-hour walk, like the ASMR, like walk through Tokyo in the rain, with, of course, the difference being that they're not talking, they're just showing the scenery purely. I'm kind of doing a little bit of both. So that's the style that I kind of developed into. I didn't start off that way at all. I originally intended to do a lot more driving videos like this as kind of an interspersal with the walking videos. And if you would genuinely be interested in seeing more driving videos, I would be very happy to continue making them. And weirdo that I am, I genuinely enjoy driving on these redonkulously narrow streets. A, it gives you a different slice of life, and B, it's just kind of fun to drive. No. Thought she was gonna cross. And it's a moot point because I decided to go left. And just for notation's sake, we are driving in the Fujiyoshida area, so Fuji 5 Lakes. I'm technically driving away from Mount Fuji, and it's cloudy today, so that means that you wouldn't be able to see Fuji anyways if I was driving in the other direction. I'm well familiar with these roads, though, because they are a part of my old commute from when I lived in this town. And if you drive in Japan, you got to become used to narrow roads like this in many communities, and the fact that there will be open gutters on the side of the road and rice paddies and other things that you can challenge yourself to not fall into. Natsukashi. Anyway, back to being a YouTuber in Japan, or should you be a YouTuber in Japan? Part of this evolution of voice that I was talking about, I have to give my number one advice, that if you're going to become a YouTuber in Japan, or you're thinking you're actually going to go through with it, number one thing is to just start. Just start doing it. For real. Don't hesitate. Don't worry about like, oh, will it be any good, or I need to have this really excellent equipment before I start, or I really need to have this thing lined up, or I have to have exactly what I want to say scripted, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you wait for it to be perfect, if you wait for the perfect setup, honestly, you'll end up not starting at all. So that's why I started with that old camcorder with the crappy sound in the video. Honestly, I would have been better off starting with my phone, because all of the phones these days are really pretty excellent with the sound and video quality. And how many YouTubers out there are crushing it with just an iPhone, for example? It's totally a thing. So don't wait for the right equipment or the right time or the right topic to come up, and just start. Just start. Also, recommendation would be to know what your boundaries are in terms of private and public life, as well as what you're willing to, what kind of life with YouTube you're going to plan on having. And what I mean by that is, as an example, for me, I refuse to have making content dominate my thinking. So if I go to a restaurant with a friend, I'm going to enjoy my time with my friend and eat my food, and if something odd or interesting happens during the meal, I might talk about it in an episode later. But I'm never thinking about, oh, we're at a new restaurant, I'm going to film this and turn this into content. I never ever want to have my life start to be dominated by, like, what can I make into a YouTube video? I have no interest in that. I won't let that happen. So, just as an example, but have some boundaries and some ideas on what you're actually going for in that respect. That is something you may want to have settled a bit in your mind before you actually begin. A couple other things. Okay, another one that it will definitely help with is, despite not allowing content to dominate my thinking, like, oh, what should I be filming, or what can I make into a YouTube video? At the same time, doing this channel has really helped me stay out of various ruts, like stay out of a rut, basically not get stuck in my life in the same routines all the time. Just as an immediate example, if I wasn't filming today to talk about this, I would be driving the main road with all the traffic, and it would be faster ultimately, because this back road is pretty windy and you have to slow down a lot and potentially wait for cars coming the other way. But it's a beautiful road, and I kind of forget it's here. And I was thinking today, I'm going to film a driving video. Let's take a really cool road to drive on. And so, just that tiny little thing. Or, I do a walk and talks as my normal video every Saturday morning, Japan time, or Friday night, America time. That's my regular weekly video. But I'm always trying to find a new and different neighborhood to film in. So I'm always walking around a new place and seeing, new houses and stores and all sorts of things that I've maybe seen before and just hadn't filmed there, or it's all completely new to me. But either way, it's getting me out of my daily routine and kind of rekindling my love with what is out here in Japan and what I really enjoy about this place. I mean, my topic this week that I'm going to do for my regular video is little things that make me smile every time I see them, even though I've been here for a very, very long time. So things that I get a kick out in ordinary, everyday Japanese life that hasn't changed and that I still love and I still have fun with. That's what this week's topic is going to be about. So by all means, please join me in my regular video. But for the meantime, enjoy these beautiful mountains and rice paddies that are getting ready for winter. But I think there is so much to do and learn about in this country that as long as you're not some kind of nuisance streamer or something like that, there's a lot of room here for people to make videos about Japan and serve as an inspiration for people who want to travel here, people who think about living here, or, even be a warning for people who might want to live here. You can share various experiences that people need to watch out for, or things that you've run into that you could save others along the way who, could stumble into the same difficulties that you had, and your video might help some people out, ahead of time, which is obviously of good value. I try to provide a certain amount of value. Some of my topics are deep dives into something serious, and others are more frivolous and fun. But honestly, a lot of my favorite comments that I get on my channel, I have two types of favorite comments. The first I've already mentioned, which are the ones that people come on and add to my knowledge. It's part of my learning experience doing this channel. Is I have a very knowledgeable audience. About 30% of my audience, according to YouTube's graphics, are actually located in Japan. So 30% is a lot. I kind of expected most of my viewers would be outside of Japan, and most are, but I didn't expect a full 30% to be from inside Japan. And so I've got a lot of other people like me who've lived here a long time who are adding to my knowledge and anyone else's knowledge in the comment section. But the other reason to have, or I should say, the other reason I really like my comment section, or what I'm really happy about, are the comments I get when people say, this was really helpful, or I've been looking for this and no one else has made a video talking about this. Those sorts of things. That's the sort of comment that I get, and it just makes my day. And so I think that's kind of who I will remain as a YouTuber. I'm never going to make the giant, topic videos of a lot of channels trying to get the views. I'm not trying to get the views. I'm trying to provide something that might be new, interesting, and different. So I get way more of a kick out of the comments that say, no one else has talked about this, thank you for this video, than, getting 100,000 views on something. Like, I made a video about wearing a suit, like buying suits in Japan, and how to buy them, what kind of suits you need, what kind of suits are appropriate for this occasion and not appropriate for that, etc., etc. And I have a bunch of comments on there like, wow, no one has talked about this on YouTube, thank you for this video. So you're going to find those things too. It's only going to be natural. You're going to have your own voice and talk about your own thing, and that's going to be helpful to people in a variety of different ways. And this leads me easily to my last bit of sensible advice. I guess I just implied I'm going to be giving nonsensible advice in a moment. But last piece of sensible advice for the moment is, don't become a Japan YouTuber just to do what everyone else is doing. Like, you think, I have this really amazing insight into Shibuya, so I'm going to make my 5 things to do in Shibuya. That is a tough, I would say almost nearly impossible market to break into at this moment, because everyone's made that video. Well, not everyone. I haven't made that video. But a lot of people have made that video, and the way the YouTube algorithm is going to work is that if someone types in things to do in Shibuya or some similar search term, it's going to serve up the giant YouTubers who already have 200,000, 2 million, or however many views on that video, and that's what people are going to watch. And your video that has 2 views from your uncle and your mom will be pages and pages away. And I discovered this myself. I made a video where I did use a lot more B-roll and made a real effort to kind of put together this travel video. And well, it got a few hundred views. It was a video about how to enjoy Kyoto without crowds, and I thought it might get some traction because I wasn't saying these are the top attractions you should go to in Kyoto. I wasn't remaking that video. I was focusing on the how to do it without crowds part of it. But it didn't take hold. People weren't watching it. And I would say probably that's the most recent video that I made where it took a completely different level of effort in terms of editing and certainly filming, because I collected basically a full SD card of videos of everything where I was in Kyoto that weekend that I was filming, and it was a giant bit of editing and work to get it all together for the 400 views or something that it got back in. No, this is obviously when my channel is a lot smaller, so that was part of it, but it didn't get more views in a broader YouTube audience than any of my normal videos, and that's what was really disappointing, because I thought I was going to get more mainstream views out of it, and it didn't happen. So I would warn against doing what everyone else does, because breaking into that is going to be very, very tough. Not impossible, but tough. There's one more thing I wanted to say, and I don't want to chop up this video with the driving, so just enjoy the driving for a moment. I'll think of it in a second or two. Busted open a tire at that intersection once long ago. I was going to the train station to pick up my friend and rubbed up against the concrete wall there, which is now cordoned off with a little cone, but the cone wasn't there back then. And just busted open the tire on the left side of my car. Oh, hi, Jeep. I had something else to say about the 10 things to do in Tokyo videos or whatever. I can't remember what it was. I'm almost to my turnoff back to the main road. Hopefully I can think of it before then. Oh, I remembered it, yes. There are benefits of doing a YouTube channel that go beyond the learning and the cultivating your voice and helping provide content for people who really need help with something. There are going to be interesting opportunities that pop up as you go along that you might not expect. This YouTube channel has led me to meet a number of interesting people and have a number of interesting opportunities. The first one that came along was a woman in the UK contacted me, and she was doing a grad school project and wanted to interview me for her thesis. And I'm like, okay, great, glad to be of help. Nicole Morris, an author in Australia, writes books about missing persons, and she'd watched my Aokigahara videos, and she'd done a Missing Persons Australia book, and then was going on to do a missing persons book where she was looking into Aokigahara, which is a famous forest here in Japan where people check out, and she was going to write a book about that. Interviewed me and my friend Chris, who I do my Aokigahara videos with, and so stuff we talk about, and I'm quoted in that book that she's written, which is pretty cool. Others, I met a long-time fan subscriber who we met in Yokohama, and I would call him a friend now, not just a fan. And he was doing this photo album, and he took a few photos of me, basically these portraits of different people in Japan, and that photo album exists out there, and with a couple of photos of me in it, and that was pretty cool. Obviously, I've gotten this sponsorship from Sakurako Company, which is very flattering for them to think enough of my videos to sponsor a channel with, at that time I was still less than 5,000 subscribers. Yay, reached 5,000. I'm going to do a celebration video about that soon, so look for that. Collaborations, other smaller YouTubers contacting me, being able to get together to do certain things. I've got a few things in the works possibly. But yeah, there's been these really interesting side things. People I've met, I've had subscribers stop me. Maybe about a month and a half ago, a guy stopped me in Yokohama Station. He's like, "Hey, I'll watch you." And my best friend who lives in Kentucky, he was having dinner with someone he knows, and somehow I came up, my best friend living in Japan sort of thing, and it turns out the friend of my friend watches my channel from Kentucky. So, small world there. And that's you're going to reach people in various ways. And even if it's just your family. My Uncle John, who unfortunately passed away in spring of 2023, he was a huge fan of my YouTube videos. And it was, for him and for other members of my family, kind of a way to keep up with me and my life in Japan.
Railroad crossing ahead.
Thank you, thing. It's one of those things that, stay connected with friends and family who might be interested in your Japan life. It's a different level of engagement beyond Instagram or Facebook, etc. So anyway, I'm going on too long. I want to say thank you for watching this particular video, and please watch for my weekly videos. Like and subscribe, definitely the best ways to help out the channel. And I hope you enjoyed a special midweek driving video. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed filming it. I enjoyed driving that road immensely. Thank you for coming along. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.